All right, you guys, sorry for the delay. Things got a little bit away from me this morning. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first of all, we need to talk about Trump's latest words. He's literally admitting that the reason why he's going after Greenland is because they snubbed him with the Nobel Peace Prize. This will be the only story we cover today, but it was of note, absolutely needs to be discussed. A letter he wrote to Denmark saying that literally, he says, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant. But now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. So, people are calling him now the Mad King. This is literal insanity. Now, let's get into iPetGoat 2, because after looking at this for over a decade, I've come to the realization that iPetGoat 2 is literally a documentary of the Epstein files. Let's go take a look at this. We're going to go cover to cover on this. I have the sound off because it's just a soundtrack, but let's go ahead and take a look. Now, we'll be pausing this intermittently throughout the course of the show today. What you're looking at here is called an insulator for an electric fence. It's not a doorknob. It's an insulator for an electric fence. And inside, there is a port. It's obviously a port. And now what we know about the Romanian Angels and Constanta being a port, the biggest port on the Black Sea, the biggest port in Romania, this is all starting to make sense. Kids in crates. Kids are goats. This was always about trafficking. And they've been drugged to remain silent while in the crate. There's the drugged kid with the eyes being drugged. And the blocks give it away. Children play with blocks. Now, the fact that this goat is popping its head out of this hole reminds me of the scripture in the Bible about a millstone being put around the neck of those who harm the children. Let's keep looking at this now. Now, I don't even know how we didn't get to this conclusion years and years ago, but it all makes sense now, especially given the fact that we have where we're at in history. Let's just put it that way. Now, this particular goat is marked on the forehead with a 666 barcode. So there's some kind of a barcode that they're putting on these children or on the crate before they're shipped. Many survivors have come forward saying they've been put in crates and shipped on these private planes to private airstrips. Now, as we begin to go through this, we see the devil's hands are in this. The devil is the one who is pushing all this. United States, biggest consumers probably of this trafficking because we are the wealthiest nation. There you see the snake on the ring finger as the snake serpent reptilian is pulling the puppet strings of the presidents. First president featured here is George Bush. And I'm going to show that to you. How it started or became mainstream kind of during the Bush era. There was actually a Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act in the year 2000. It was the first one within 100 years in which they pretended to protect victims of trafficking. That law was signed by Bill Clinton just before George Bush. And then you have to wonder what's going on with these pushpins on the map. Are these trafficking sites? Now that we're seeing this through a different lens, all the presidents knew this was happening, but the one that was elected on Dunce Day is the one who finally spilled the beans. Yes, Donald Trump was elected on Dunce Day, the 5th of November, and he is the secret president. that's not shown here directly, but is one of the three presidents depicted. He's the one that spilled the beans. He ran on releasing the files, but then realized he was in the files, and this is likely what had given them the ability to literally manipulate him. We have a completely different Donald Trump in the second term, essentially playing the role of the deep state. No one can deny it at this point. Now, if we look at this image here, we know what happens to child trafficking victims. Their mind splits. MK Ultra programming, Project Paperclip, Monarch programming, and maybe the hangman is the series of steps to disclosure that is finally happening, because the only letters left are IOU. Now, of course, this was Bush depicted in the classroom during Blind 11, we'll call it. But then he morphs into Obama. All the presidents knew. They laughed it off. And then we have Erika Kirk, the Romanian angels. She's sitting in an angel halo, the halo of an angel. You've got all the unidentified, faceless orphans with her in the middle. Just like the group photo that she took at the Antonio Orphanage in Constantia. Let's take a look at that. Hopefully it'll pull up. She's standing in a group. Oh, let's put orphans. Orphans. Now, this entire iPet goat seems to point towards all of this. This is insane, you guys. This is literally insane. Let's find the picture. Should have probably had that put up, group photo. Should probably research this before we got on here, but there's a photo of her with all the children. Of course, Google is not going to show that, but it essentially matches. It essentially matches this picture. Of her in the middle with the orphan children around her. I counted 12 children in the photo of her at the orphanage. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just type in the orphanage. Orphanage. And nothing. But you guys all know the photo because we covered it on a previous show. Now, let's keep going with this. There's more. We even have the exit door ajar in the background. She drops the apple. There's the exit door. And we found that exit door at the orphanage where she's holding a gun. See if we can find that one. Oh, here it is. This one they're going to show us. There's the exit door in the background. Exit ajar. Okay. Now, let's keep going. You also see the hands being held. Let's back this up a little bit. Just like Charlie Kirk would hold his hands with the downward V, and Trump held his hands with the downward V. And in the movie Snake Eyes, where there was a Kirkland senator that was shot in the neck, he's holding his hands down with the V. Wow. Now, what else is going on? Well, then there's the Turning Point logo on the floor as she drops the apple across the floor. There's the Turning Point logo, the curved C on the floor. In this case, it's paint. The arrow of the V is knocked off because It's a new turning point, isn't it? We found all this. We also found that when this apple hits Obama's shoe, this is from the little golden calf monument in Kiev, Ukraine. Let's look it up. Little golden calf monument, Kiev. Cover to cover, you guys. He's standing on a coin. Foot over the coin. Let's go take a look. Panikovsky. This is from the book, The Little Golden Calf. Now we know that the golden calf is about Molech, the eyes of Molech. Child sacrifice, sacrificing children in the fire. There's the foot over the coin. It matches. The foot over the coin. And the original decode that we did of this, all the way from 2013, we found also a picture of Obama with this signature straw hat, just like Panikovsky's character in the book The Little Golden Calf. Obama straw hat. There is no aisle on Epstein aisle. There is no right or left. They're all the same. And as soon as we all figured that out, we'll stop picking sides. We'll stop saying it was the Democrats, it was the Republicans, it was all of them. Now, Obama knew what was going on in Ukraine, almost guaranteed. Now, when we back up, there's more confirmation of the Ukraine in this image of Erika Kirk and the Romanian Angels. How do I know? Well, there's another monument in Kiev, Ukraine. Must be a lot of trafficking going on over there. It's called the Holodomor Monument. And it's got a girl holding apples and with roses. There you go. Standing in a circle. They bring apples and roses. This is in Kiev. She's got the same dress or similar dress. And this monument exists in Canada as well to commemorate a genocide that happened at the hands of the Russians in Ukraine. They essentially starved them. Here are all the apples. There's apples rolling across the floor. So we had found all of this stuff already. We're just recapping. Let's keep going. Just checking with you guys. Now, Romanian angels, the halo angel on the floor. The apple rolls across the floor, hits Obama's foot. This could represent the awakening. He's nervous. The camera pans out. And that's when we realize that this isn't just a school in iPad Go 2. It's an orphanage. Literally an orphanage. And how did I find this out? Well, I looked at these windows and I was like, wait a minute, I've seen those before. This is the Antonio Orphanage in Constantia, where Erika Kirk, formerly Erika Francevy, worked. The orphanage is the school. You can even see the fence here, the fence line. Let's go back. It pans out. The fence line, barbed wire. Now, of course, this is also iPad Go 2, but these are decodes within decodes. They have meanings. What could the flag represent? Well, that's the military that was, helping with these children, with Erika. So their flag is stuck there, but then it represents, as disclosure happens, the ripping apart of America as the flag is torn. Only one star on the flag. Now, this could be why and how civil war starts in America, because of the trafficking cover-up. Then we see Psalm 23 on the wall. Well, guess what? Erika Kirk tweeted Psalm 46. 23 and 23 is 46. And this is what she tweeted just before her husband was shot. God is our refuge and strength. Psalm 46:1, Psalm 23. Whoa. Now, what else is going on? What about the clock tower? You ready for this? Now, we've seen the clock tower in other places, haven't we? But we really couldn't nail it down, could we? Well, I believe we found the clock tower. All I did was type in Constanța, Romania, clock tower. There are none there, but guess where they're at? There are some pretty popular clock towers, actually. Aisa and Sighisoara. So I looked up the one in Sighisoara. Here it is here. And this essentially is Dracula's clock tower. You can't make this up. Here's the wide angle of it. There you see this covered area here, and almost like a drawbridge going into underneath the tower. Here's the tower. So I looked this up in Google Earth, and in fact, it does sit in the backdrop, though it is hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the school. It does sit back here in the backdrop. Hundreds of miles away inland, away from the Black Sea, is where this clock tower exists. In Transylvania, Romania, where Dracula is from. Where does it sit? At 46 degrees north. Remember Psalm 46 that Erika tweeted out just hours before her husband was killed? Transylvania. And then I realized that this very clock tower, this very town, Sighisoara, is where they're building the new Dracula theme park. Now, the clock has two faces. Gemini faces, one facing the upper city and the second the lower city, and each holding a clock dial of 2.3 meters diameter. 23, Psalm 23. I think we found the clock tower. 2.3 meters diameter. Erika Kirk tweeted out Psalm 46. Where this clock sits at 46 degrees north latitude. We can call this Dracula's clock. Now, I read down through this, and I'll put a link to this for you guys. The clock is a mix of Christian and pagan gods. They mention Sol Invictus in here, and the goddess Pax of peace. Artemis is mentioned in here. These are all people. These are all gods that we've covered, you guys. They talk about the 7 planets. You name it, all of it is in this clock. Helios, the sun god. It's all right here. Do you still think we were making all this up? It's right here. Each of the 7 planets represented. And it says here, at first sight, the 7 figures appear to represent only 7 days of the week, but in reality, they also depict the 7 ancient gods, 7 planets, and the 7 basic metals. So, what do you think I did next? There's even Saturnalia in here and Kronos. It is a pagan cornucopia. What do you think I did next? Well, I typed in the name of the city where the clock is. I didn't put clock. I put Sigisora Erika Kirk. Now, of course, her name was Francie at the time, but I thought, let's type in Sigisora Erika Kirk, and look what came up. Now, understand that you can't just put anyone's name in here and have the same thing. This isn't some kind of a trick, because I tried it. I put my name in here. I put Sigisora Casey Brown. I thought, oh, maybe they just plug anybody's name into this, and that's how it works. Because, we have AI now. They could make up stories. But no, I typed in Erika Kirk. Now, it's not to say this is the Erika Kirk, but look what happens when we click on this. Exploring Romania, Erika Kirk's Adventures. And there's a whole article about Transylvania and the particular clock tower that we just looked up. Erika Kirk's name is mentioned dozens of times in this article, as the article claims that she went on a tour of Romania and sampled the delicious cuisine and went through all the quaint villages and, of course, the Dracula mysteries, the Bran Castle. What the heck is going on here? Smart Realty? Who is this person? Is it the Erika Kirk, or is it a different one? Well, there's no history I could find on this website. I plugged it into the, the archive, Wayback Machine. There's no record of what this is. It's weird. Wow. So, let's keep going. Let me check in with you guys. Let's keep going with this. Okay. And then, of course, the rest is history. We see the Twin Towers in the background falling down. And that's when I said, oh, there cannot possibly be a connection to child trafficking. Because I thought to myself, did they do 9/11 to cover up trafficking? Was that what this was all about? And that's when I found the law that was passed literally months before Blind 11 happened, the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act. It was signed by Bill Clinton, and it was reauthorized by Bush, Obama, and Trump. And there are your 3 presidents, and I bet goat too. Was 9/11 to hide the money from the trafficking? And of course, we know that Epstein was in, or Clinton was in the Epstein files. Now, let's keep going. Because next, you're going to see the foundation of America, which of course is Zionism. There it is right there underneath our Statue of Liberty, whose traffic blackmail will ultimately be the cause of the fall of America. As we're starting to realize that Trump's Department of Justice is blocking the release of the files, even though Trump was the one who signed the law to release them, now they're dragging their feet. Once the trust is eroded in America, it is the beginning of the end. because those who allow the lie will not confront the lie. Then we begin to see the base of it all through new eyes, right? Through the eyes of all of this, we start to see that there's something different going on here in Pet Goat. As the orange man emerges, the orange Antichrist figure, it has to be Trump. The orange man. And then we finally figure out what this child is. A trafficked child. What he's wearing there is called a dhoti, which is Islamic. So this could put this child in like Malaysia. It could put this child in India. And the child is drugged. This is what they do to them so that they'll remain silent. And they lose their memories, which is why the head's cracked open. Confusion. This dovetails back to the goat in the beginning of I Pet Goat that was in the crate. Confused, lost, drugged to remain silent, no memories. And it's all driven by money and greed. The dollar, the entire dollar based off of this. The world is actually starting to wake up to this. They know what we're up to in America. It looks like the markets are going to plunge, and this could be the catalyst for war, as nobody would accept that our children have been trafficked. Then there's more children. I'm going to break down this scene for you in a bit because this image appears in the Hagia Sophia mosque in the mosaics on the wall. It's ancient images, mosaics, tiles, paintings, and things like this on the ceiling. And this is important because it also dovetails into this scene. Now this makes all the sense in the world. An adult man, mostly naked, with a child. Now it makes sense. It's happening all over the world. This must be in Africa. Of course, this is Maduro in the paraffin wax rich yellow crude oil. We matched the color. This is exactly what it looks like. Socialism drowning. Hierophant calls him Pepito, which we identified as the name of cheese puffs. They're called Pepito, and they're specific only to Venezuela. So this has to be Maduro, the drowning of socialism. Directly after this scene, we also linked, because Maduro said just weeks before he was arrested, he said he would smash the teeth out of America. Obviously, that didn't happen. So his tooth is knocked out. Also, he pledged to shave his signature mustache if he could build 1 million homes. This was years ago. He failed to build the 1 million homes for the Venezuelans, but he never shaved off his mustache. So that's why he's got the 5 o'clock shadow here. Let's keep watching. Directly after this scene, tanks roll through Caracas, because it's a carcass. That's a rib cage. On Venezuelan Independence Day, which was, according to the U.S., was on January 2nd. That's when it happened, and they picked up Maduro. But it's our New Year's, which is why you see fireworks and party favors. This blowhorn is a New Year's party favor. So we nailed that. There's Baron Samedi standing in the Caracas. So at some point, tanks will roll through Caracas, probably in the near future. Who's the girl? Well, we figured that out too. Delcy Rodriguez, who loves to wear green. In fact, this is the newest photo. We looked at photos of her. She loves to wear green. And so what we have here is the green eyeshadow. Also, Maduro called her the tiger of socialism. So there's the tiger on her back. And there is the green eyeshadow and the green jacket. That has to be Delcy Rodriguez. She's always wearing green. Now, all of this, as I said, is ushering in the Orange Man, who now has to be the Antichrist. The false Messiah with the crown of thorns. The Orange Man. This keeps going. The child is trying to wake up, trying to remember, to tell their story of being trafficked. But the dollar is stronger, silencing the child, telling them you don't know what you're talking about, no one believing the victims, and the government throwing all the money they can to block the memories, sending money to influencers to tell them to discredit these people. But one by one, the victims are coming forward, aren't they? They're remembering being in the crates. They're remembering being drugged. This is the year of the fire horse. 2026, the year of the fire horse. There's the fire as the Antichrist blows fire, infiltrating the churches. Turning Point. We now know for a fact Trump probably created Turning Point. He hired Charlie Kirk's father to build his Trump Tower way back in 1983. Yes, Charlie Kirk's father was the architect for Trump Tower. Trump likely picked Charlie Kirk to create the next generation of Christian faith. We also know that Trump knew Erika Kirk before Charlie ever did, so he likely picked her as the queen, right? Because Trump asked her to be in his pageant. She won the pageant, so obviously Trump knew her before Charlie Kirk. There's the black halo. Did you catch the Gemini president in the background? Yes, the church is the Gemini church. Here you see the twin heads in the background. Two Trumps. The churches are infiltrated. The Christian faith has been infiltrated and taken down. And yes, the Antichrist is floating through the church because this is what the church is here. It's a cross. Most churches are laid out that way. They call these abbeys, I think. And then it will zoom out, so you'll confirm that the Antichrist just drove through a church. Church is crumbling down. Now, unbelievable. Let's keep going. Now, what is this? Well, some channels have started to cover a new faith called the Baha'i faith. So it's the end of the Christian religion. And they're trying to combine all the faiths into one. It's called the Baha'i faith. It's basically like religious tolerance. And so I believe that's why you see all these mini gods, these demigods, dancing around under this structure. The Baha'i faith. In the year of the fire horse, there's the fire, the eternal flame burning at the center of it, which was the original false god, Molech. The fire ceremony. Every 52 years, the new fire ceremony. They would march a single victim up to the top of a volcano, pull the beating heart out of its chest, light it on fire, and relight the entire kingdom. And these were the origins of our Olympic flame or lighting ceremony. That was from the ancient new fire ceremony. Sacrificing your children to Moloch in the fire. That is the true origin of the multi-faith. but they'll never tell you that. At a certain point, God shines the light on all of it, which is what you're going to see next as the church crumbles. And here, God shines the light on the deception and evil. I believe that's probably happening now as you see the phallic man laying with the underground tunnels on the left and the phallic tower at the center. And all kinds of grotesque imagery of seed being dispersed. You can fill in the blanks with that. It's all happening right now. Now, who is this woman in the tower? Well, as you can see, it's the church. That's where all this is happening. This is how they're able to essentially do all this under the auspices of the church. The woman in the tower is many people, because they are legion, right? There's always many of the same archetype. She is the madam. She is the enabler. The woman in jail can be Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. It's also Wally Funk, who was the first and oldest woman to get on the phallic rocket. Jeff Bezos' booster rocket. Blue Origins. Both she and Ghislaine Maxwell were pilots. This is what they do. They use these pilots to traffic the children in the crates. And what better pilot to have that no one would ever suspect there was a child asleep in a crate than a woman pilot? Now, I'm not saying that I know for sure Wally Funk was doing this, but you have to ask yourself, it's being depicted here. Now, how do I know this is Wally Funk? Well, see the booster shoe? See the shoe? There's one shoe bigger than the other. Let's back this up. Well, we confirmed. There's the shoe. Let's try to fix this here. Got to be careful with this one because YouTube does not like this part of the video. You saw it there. Let's try to back this up. I want to show this to you. She has one shoe that's boosted. Booster shoe. Booster rockets, booster shoes. There it is. See how this shoe is thicker than the other? Well, Wally Funk has the same thing. We found that. Wally Funk. Shoe. Shoes. Feet. She was the oldest woman to go. Oh, let's see here. Let's just do this. To go into space. And yes, she does have one shoe, 1 foot bigger than the other. There it is right there. Confirmed. Now, what else is going on? So, we now know that the woman in the tower represents the enablers. The women who enable this to happen, who are pilots. The lights shined on the entire operation as you see the fluids of abuse in the background on the wall. And the counting, this is probably for counting the victims as well as counting the blackmail. Got all the hashtag marks on the background. Now, eventually, all of this results in the crumbling of the church to bring in the one world religion. Here we see the Antichrist figure going through the church. There's the one world religion, the Baha'i faith dancing under the tent. And let's keep going. The Antichrist, what does he do? He destroys the workforce. I couldn't figure this one out before, but here it is, as plain as day. No need for workers because Donald Trump has allowed artificial intelligence to now steal millions of jobs. We all know it's happening. So there they are. They have their briefcases and all jobs destroyed. Labor has become extinct, essentially. Robotics will take over everything. Artificial intelligence has already ruined most customer service jobs. Most service jobs of any kind where you're talking on the phone with someone is being replaced as we speak. The Orange Man got it done. Finally, the trafficked victims stand up and remember, because remember, what do they call this? The 12th monkey or something? The victims need others to know that they're safe to come forward. And once enough come forward, the rest come forward. But if no one believes the initial victims and they just call it, oh, it's satanic panic, or it's this or it's that, then no victims will come forward. Why would they come forward? If the child wakes up, awakened, memories complete, ready to start cross-checking everything, making sure, talking to other victims, figuring out who they came in contact with, who they remember. The drugs, no more drugs to silence the child. But still, Baron Samedi keeps trying to work his voodoo magic to cover all this up, but to no avail. Now, remember when I told you to remember the Hagia Sophia Mosque earlier in the Decode? So I looked all this up. And remember, the dome was destroyed earlier in iPad Code 2. Well, the Hagia Sophia Mosque actually collapsed several times in history. It collapsed most recently in 1346. And then 100 years later, there was a massacre under the dome of women and children who ran into the mosque for safety, hoping that God would save them. This was the end of the Byzantine Empire. No doubt some of these children were whirling dervish, just like the child here, because I looked that up, and let's take a look here. This was the massacre that happened on May 29th, 1453, the fall of Constantinople. The Ottoman forces breached the city's defenses, and the mass enslavement of the remaining population that was trapped in the Hagia Sophia Mosque. The children were captured and enslaved, i.e., trafficked. Here are the history of the dome collapses. First happened in 558, then 989, then 1346 is when the dome collapsed. And yes, there were whirling dervishes in the 15th century at the end of the Byzantine Empire, as you can see here, that were near the Hagia Sophia Mosque. Now, I understand that it showed Allied forces bombing this, so we've always been watching the Hagia Sophia Mosque, haven't we? We've been watching it over the last several years because the images that you see back here are in the Hagia Sophia Mosque. Let's look it up. Let's go back to the part where it was. Let's see here. We're almost done, you guys. This image here is in the Hagia Sophia Mosque. Images. Paintings. Now, a lot of this was covered up. Here it is right here. Now, we found all this years ago. We're just putting it all together for you guys. The Black Tears. This is supposed to be Mary and Jesus, but many people realize that it was likely the Antichrist. She's even sitting in a shell just like the shell in Decode 2. She's sitting in here. Confirmed. Now, again, that dome was broken several times. Look at, even the child is in the dome, the very dome that was broken. And in Decode 2, it's this child who rises up through the top of the dome. Confirmed. Like resurrected or something. So, trafficked children. Wow. Now, at this point, many of you are blown away. But let's finish this up. There are more false gods. The Baha'i faith, eternal flame. And then the lights come on. Everybody wakes up. The Antichrist emerges from the church now that it's been destroyed. And here we see in the background the crown of thorns disappears. Damien Thorn. Thorn Industries. The Omen. We found all kinds of connections to Donald Trump and The Omen. And now it's like widely known in truth circles that The Omen was literally a story about the rise of Donald Trump. The church crumbles. And literally, we did a side-by-side when Notre Dame crumbled. And it's the same. Let's look it up. Notre Dame pet goat. See if they show us. YouTube sucks. Search engine is lame. Side by side. Notre Dame collapse. iPet goat. Jeez. Oh, here it is. Now, this was originally our discovery, but it took off. A lot of other people took the idea, which is fine, because that needed to happen. The truth needs to get out. But when it collapsed, it literally matched this image. Let's see if this video shows it. There, you see it there. There's the side-by-side. The collapse in iPet Goat, the real collapse on real life on the left. It's as if these people have a time machine. Looking glass. You can even see the spire here, where the cross is supposed to be. Now, let's keep going. Collapse of the church. The crown of thorn, Damien Thorn, Thorn Industries falls. And it appears as though the Masons have done their job. There's the Masonic pillar. Infiltrate the religion and destroy it. And this is what they've done. And that's what I pulled out of iPet Goat 2. So now, in hindsight, it appears as though Hierophant was trying to expose child trafficking 13 years ago when this came out. You know, it's interesting because how did they see all this? Well, 2012 was supposed to be the last year that Looking Glass could see the future. And that's the year that this came out. So maybe they leaked Looking Glass through an animation of the events that would happen over the next 13 years. And it's all happened now. It's really unbelievable, isn't it? So that's what I had for you guys. I do need to pop off of here. Please share this video. If you don't, no one's going to see it except our group of people, and no one's going to wake up to the truth. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Much love. Take care.